In a previous video, we did an AC compressor replacement on a failed AC compressor on a 2013 Outback. In today's video, we're looking at another AC compressor failure, this time on a 2014 Forester. Now, this compressor failed completely differently than the previous compressor did. We're gonna look at the differences in this failure compared to the other failure and see if we can fix this on the cheap. With that said, let's go ahead and jump in the video and get the cold air blowing once again. So guys, as I stated in the intro, this is my mother's 2014 Forester, and the AC compressor failed on it last week. As you can see, it got super hot and literally burnt up the front of the compressor there. The clutch is cooked, and it kind of messed up our very new belt on it. It got so hot and drew so much power, it actually blew the fuse for the entire HVAC control unit. And as you see, we've got all this black stuff slung out from around the front of the compressor clutch. It's slung all over everything. Now, the compressor itself is not locked up. It still freely spins. So I'm pretty sure that we are fine to just put a clutch on this and we shouldn't have any other issues. Aside from the fact that depending on how hot this got and how high the pressures got, we might have blown off the overpressure relief valve on the compressor. It looks like we've got some oil and dye maybe up here, or maybe it's just some discoloration from heat. I did check, and we do have a charge still. I have not pulled the charge out to make sure we are still fully charged. Now, I do have my AC recovery machine. That's the first thing we're going to do, is hook up and pull our charge out of the system and make sure that we are still fully charged and didn't lose any refrigerant. Kind of worried about the heat on the front of this compressor, that it might have messed up the front seal on the compressor and caused a leak, but hopefully not. As long as we have our full AC charge still in the system, and like I said, this compressor is definitely not locked up. I can turn it by hand. I think we'll be safe just to replace the compressor clutch and nothing else. Every AC compressor failure does not warrant replacing the compressor as an assembly, the condenser, the thermal expansion valve. Everything doesn't have to be replaced every single compressor failure. It depends on how the compressor fails. Now, since this was a clutch failure and nothing internally got messed up, as far as I can tell, it didn't shoot shrapnel and debris through the system, so nothing needs to be changed, nothing immediately needs to be messed with, other than this compressor clutch on the front. And like I said, not entirely sure, but that's what we're going to figure out today. So let's go ahead and jump into it. We'll go ahead and pull the charge out, make sure we're still at specification, and start taking apart this clutch and replace it with the replacement clutch I got. Now, of course, Subaru doesn't offer a genuine clutch for this. It is an aftermarket clutch, but this is an aftermarket compressor. I'd rather spend $100 on an aftermarket clutch to see if we can repair this system before we go ahead and dump about $900 on a Subaru genuine replacement compressor. So let's go ahead and get this charge pulled out and see if we are still at spec. So just finished recovering the refrigerant from the system, and we were still at our full charge. We didn't lose any refrigerant, so luckily this didn't get hot enough to cook that front seal on the compressor and cause a leak. Looks like we'll be fine just to replace this clutch assembly, so let's go ahead and get to it. First off, we need to take off this belt guard, the serpentine belt, and we've already disconnected the compressor clutch electrical connector up here. So after that, we need to knock loose that 10mm headed bolt, and we should be able to pull everything apart. Now, luckily the belt didn't get too fried, although it did take a little bit of beating because it's only 6 months old or so. All right, so let's go ahead and get this knocked loose. Again, a 10mm headed bolt here. Right angle impact makes quick work of that. And oh man, we got some carnage in here. And looks like I might have screwed up because that's refrigerant oil right there. Looks like our front seal did get cooked. Somehow we are losing oil, but we didn't lose our refrigerant charge. So not sure what that's about. I'll get you down here and look at this. The front bearing on this clutch is totally wiped out. So yeah, as you can see there, that front bearing is completely destroyed. You can see the ball bearings are missing and just rolling around in there. But again, there's oil in there, so that's not a good sign. The other day I took this loose to look at it before I ordered the clutch, and it was dry. So not a good sign, although I did just spray a bunch of brake parts cleaner around here to try to clean some of this mess up before we started. So not sure if it's brake parts cleaner mixing with some of the oil from the bearing that's obviously dried up and crusted up, or if it's refrigerant oil. So we're going to continue on with this. I would assume that if it was refrigerant oil from the compressor, that it would be bright green because I did put dye in it. So we're going to continue on and see if we got any leaks actually going on at the front of the compressor. All right, guys, so we've got a snap ring we need to take loose to get this outer clutch part off. So see if we can get in here with these to get at it. There we go. Now, will this pull off by hand, or we're going to have to get a puller? And will the puller break the bearing, or will it pull then erase? So it will not pull off by hand, and our two-jaw puller will not get on here with it in the car. So it looks like we're just going to unbolt it real quick and angle it up so we can pull that clutch off the front. All right, I just took the wiring harness loose here, tucked it off to the side to get this compressor unbolted so we can swing at it and get a better angle of attack on this clutch as we drop one of the mounting bolts for the compressor down in the abyss. All right, got our 4 bolts off of the compressor. We can now angle it up so we can get that puller on there to get that clutch. Hopefully. And there we go. And now you can see just how bad that bearing was, really burned up. Front cover fell off, lots of bearings, ball bearings missing from that. Just really, really bad. And the clutch, you can see all those hot spots. The clutch really, really cooked down here. So that's our next bit we need to pull off of there. And I believe we've got another snap ring that holds it in place. There we go. Got that. And got that. I gotta tell you, it does smell like refrigerant oil. Not sure how that little connector comes out of there. Looks like it melted into place. All right, guys, got the front of the compressor cleaned up. Looks like it was oil from the bearing mixing with the brake parts cleaner I was spraying earlier. Like I said, the refrigerant oil in this compressor has dye in it. I didn't see any dye, so I doubt we've got an issue. Plus, we held our full charge. So the part we're using is a RNY AC compressor EH492-CL. Again, you know, I don't like using aftermarket parts, but this was a quick fix, so to say, so hopefully it works out for us. So let's go ahead and get the new electromagnetic part of the clutch off the back and get it into position. All right, guys, so we're ready to put the clutch on. Now there is a little dimple here that goes right here to keep this from rotating. So we'll line that up on the dimple and put our big snap ring in place. And make sure we're snapped all the way into there and that our clutch doesn't move. So now that that's in place, we can take this little plastic piece here and we can snap that into the housing to hold our wiring in place. Just like so, and clip our connector in like so. Now we can take our new bearing and a new outer pulley. Slide that on and get our new snap ring for that part. And clip that over the end as well. Make sure it snaps all the way into that groove. Just like so. All right, now that we got that on, we'll go ahead and bolt the compressor back down. Try not to drop any more bolts or tools into the engine bay. Alrighty, now we got a whole baggie full of shims for shimming our compressor clutch, but we're just going to go ahead and install it as it is and hope that it's close enough. If it's not, we'll take it loose and go again, but there's all our little shims. Focus. So there's all the little shims they gave us to shim that out, but like I said, it was close, or where it should have been, as it was, and we didn't pull any shims out, so we should be good. Nope, we're not going to be good just to bolt it back on, so we're going to have to add some shims. As you saw, it went straight and true right down on there. And yeah, there's a substantial height difference. Focus. Substantial height difference there. So that's not good. All right, so crisis may be averted. I went ahead and just tried to clean up as best I could this old front clutch cover. Hopefully we don't have any issue from it, but we'll go ahead and slide it in place. Grab our washer and our bolt and tighten it back up. And we'll go ahead and throw the wiring up here, put the belt on, and set the charge and cross our fingers and toes, and hopefully this all works. And just saved us about $800 on a compressor replacement. All right, we should be good to go ahead and refill the system. So we'll go ahead and hook our AC machine connectors back up. And start drawing a vacuum. So I'm a little worried now because this thing spins troublingly freely. So we might have cooked this compressor after all. That was a lot of heat. Already vacuumed the system and it failed the leak test. Focus. It got so hot, as you can see, that O-ring started to melt. You can see the little droplets on it, and that was our low side line here. The O-ring started to melt, so it failed the leak test. So replaced that O-ring, got it going again. Hopefully it passes, but yeah, that thing shouldn't spin quite that freely. We might still be replacing the compressor. So fingers crossed, we'll see if this clutch fixes it, but my hope is quite low. So far, so good. It seems to be working. So we'll go and check our temperatures and make sure it cools and make sure we don't have any leaks, and we should be good and done with this repair. So initially it started to cool down, but then it quit, and now the compressor is making some noise, so looks like we need a compressor after all. The clutch, unfortunately, was not the fix. It got too hot, fried something in the front bearing something, it's making some noise, doesn't sound great. So looks like we'll be doing a part 2 on this and doing a full compressor replacement. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you all in the next one.